Over the long history of Formula 1, many teams have come and gone. Some good, some bad, some just outright stupendous. But only one team stands out above all others for all the wrong reasons. Although very brief, the story of Andrea Moda Formula started way back in the early 1990s at the hands of another team.
Gasho in the Subaru Coloni, that car with the flat 12 engine, and news that Subaru have sold the team back to the Italian entrepreneur Enzo Coloni. As usual, the car circulated slowly, and at Silverstone there was an oil mist following it. The car sounded distinctly rough and rarely ran on anything more than 9 or 10 of the 12 cylinders.
Okay, so that didn't go very well. It's fair to say that the campaign of the Coloni team was not very successful. Having just qualified for only 14 out of the 82 Grand Prix that they attempted to qualify for, eventually the team hit the anchors and was put up for sale. Enter at this point Italian shoe designer Andrea Moda. Moda brought in a mountain of wealth from, well, nobody really knows where. Some claim it was through inheritance, some through poker, others claim it was through links with the mafia and illegal dealings. That said, it's not as if the sport has really been totally clean in its entire history. Yeah. But anyway, Moda had bought the team, rebranded it as his own, and took his newly acquired franchise to South Africa for the first Grand Prix of the 1992 season. Except it didn't really go to plan. Having arrived with the old Coloni chassis, which, as we know, wasn't very good, the team were excluded from the event due to not having paid the $100,000 deposit set for new teams that enter the championship. Moda attempted to argue that the team was not new, as it was essentially the Coloni team, despite the fact that it was rebranded as Andrea Moda, with new cars, sort of, and now had a new owner in Andrea Moda, leaving the only comedy act to come out of the weekend to be Giovanna Amati. Onwards to the next round in Mexico, where by now, hopefully, the cars will be ready after a 3-week break in South Africa. Alas, the cars weren't ready. This didn't impress drivers Alex Caffey and Enrico Battaglia, who chastised the team for being ill-prepared. Moda, being a mercurial Italian, told them both to get lost and got himself some new drivers. Roberto Marino was known to be quite quick, but only had luck in finding himself in the worst cars on the grid. To say that this was a new low is saying something. The other driver was Perry McCarthy, not especially fast nor successful in junior formula, who would only gain recognition through his role as the Stig on BBC's Top Gear, and for his role in the shenanigans that the Andrea Moda team would afflict upon him in the later rounds. The next round in Brazil wasn't that great. Moreno had failed to qualify, which was bad in itself, but McCarthy went one step further by not being able to compete at all. Well, you see, he didn't have a super license, which is kind of critical to race at all. He would eventually get a super license at the next round in Spain. McCarthy would eventually get some time in the car, but not on track, as his car packed up the sulks meters down the pit lane. Around about this time, Enrico Battaglia had come back to Andrea Moda with a bill of goods and a load of money. Andrea loved money and therefore loved Battaglia. After getting back on his good side, Moda told McCarthy to buzz off, only for the FIA to tell them, nah, you can't do that, mate. Of course, this made Andrea very angry. He would begin to neglect McCarthy in the rounds to come, which would ultimately lead to the team's downfall. If there is one place you can qualify with a rubbish car, it's on the streets of Monaco. Sure enough, Marino managed to qualify his S921 into the Monaco Grand Prix, marking the first Grand Prix appearance for the Andrea Moda team. Well, at least the first one where they actually raced anything. McCarthy marginally missed out in pre-qualifying after posting a time of 17 minutes and 5 seconds. Meanwhile, Marino would start the Grand Prix only to retire from it after the Judd V10 engine blew itself to pieces on lap 11. Following this, a comedic series of errors would plague the team until its demise. For the next race in Canada, for example, the team turned up minus that one important component for the car, the engine. They borrowed an engine from Brabham, but they still failed to qualify the car. By this stage, a heap of personnel had buggered off, and the sponsors started retreating as well. By this stage, the team qualified for only one Grand Prix, had multiple problems with the car, and were losing sponsors faster than when Israel Folau discovered Twitter. But for Andrea, it was about to get worse. The French, being French, stationed a blockade of trucks back in 1992 as a means of protest. This meant that travel throughout France was a little bit difficult, but the majority of the team's trucks arrived at the circuit, well, let's just say Monaco, no problem at all, except for, Well, this essentially meant that Andrea Moda did not even achieve a did not pre-qualify. They instead got a did not attend. At the British Grand Prix, City felt the need to Josh McCarthy by sending him out on a bone-dry track with slick tyres. Whilst hilarious for Andrea, the FIA was starting to get a little bit pissed off. The Hungarian Grand Prix was just as rubbish for the team, with both cars failing to qualify, with McCarthy being particularly hard done by when the team kept him in the garage before finally letting him out, when there was only 45 seconds left in the session. Not even Ayrton Senna could have achieved that in his McLaren Honda, much less Perry McCarthy in an Andrea Moda. By now, the FIA made it clear to the team, run McCarthy's car properly, or you lot will be down at the Dole office. Having decided to pay no attention to the FIA demand, the team turned up to the Belgian Grand Prix where, once again, both cars failed to qualify. Although that would not be the worst thing to come out of this weekend. The gendarmes arrested Mr. Sassetti in the paddock after it was alleged that he had forged invoices. Now imagine that! Both cars being loaded onto a truck early, after having failed to qualify, whilst the team owner is being arrested for forging invoices. Eventually, the FIA had had enough, and suspended the team for the remainder of the 1992 Formula 1 season. They showed up to the gates at Monza only to be told to take their kit and bugger off. The official reasoning behind the suspension was failure to operate a team in a manner compatible with the standards of the championship or in any way brings the championship into disrepute. And with that, the Andrea Moda Formula team had bitten the dust. Having not fared too well in Formula 1, they can at least be remembered for a reason, although I'm not sure they would have wanted to be remembered as the worst Formula 1 team in history.